Hello there, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here with more career advice and job interviewing tips for you. And as a quick reminder, if you enjoy our podcast, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes. And on today's podcast, is EQ more important than IQ? EQ, of course, being emotional intelligence, right? We'll call it self-awareness or empathy or motivational skills or people skills or social skills. In layman's terms, let's just call EQ overall people skills, right? Is that more important than IQ or your book smarts, so to speak? What's my opinion on it? Well, I really think it depends on the role that you're in, right? If you're in a leadership role that manages teams and manages people, I honestly believe that EQ is the most important thing if you're force ranking the two. You just got to have great people skills to manage teams, right? You just have to, be able to motivate. You have to be able to communicate. You have to have self-awareness and empathy and all these things to be able to lead teams and get them to follow you down the mountain, right? You're on a bus and it crashes in the mountains. Okay. And it's snowing and it's -5 degrees outside and there's nobody around and none of the cell phones are working. And there's these 30 people on the bus and somebody's got to lead everybody to safety. Do you think the person leading everybody to safety is going to be the smartest person on the bus or the person with the best people skills? I can tell you, it's going to be the one with the best EQ. And so if you're in a leadership role, I just think that's absolutely critical. Let me ask you this. How many of you listening to this podcast, how many of you have dealt with a super smart person, super high IQ, but they're just a total asshole, right? They're just a jerk. I mean, I know all of you listening to this podcast, you've dealt with somebody like that. They couldn't lead their way out of a paper bag, so to speak. They sure as hell can't lead teams because nobody wants to follow them because they're just an asshole. So people skills, I just think, are absolutely critical, especially in a leadership role. I really wish my EQ was stronger when I was younger. I was so cocky. I was such an asshole when I was younger, mainly because I was just super cocky and, just way overconfident. And that rubbed people the wrong way. Yes, I worked really hard and I executed pretty well. But if my EQ had been stronger early on, and if I had realized how important people skills were earlier in my career, I would have advanced faster and earlier in my career. And so I just want to remind you with this podcast, check yourself. Okay, watch yourself as you move through the day. How are you treating people? Do people want to follow you, or do they have to follow you? Right? What kind of leader are you? How are your people skills? Are you able to get everybody to play nicely together in the sandbox? That's the key to a true leader, not necessarily how smart you are. And by the way, I've been a C-level executive in a couple of $40 million companies, and I sure as hell wasn't the smartest person in the building. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. We truly hope you find our material helpful and entertaining. And while our podcast can be heard across most platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, you can become a supporter of this podcast by visiting our show on the platform Anchor FM. That's anchor.fm/Riderflex. You can also send us your questions or suggested topics for future episodes to the email address podcast@riderflex.com or drop us a voicemail at 888-964-5876 extension 710. Visit riderflex.com to learn more about us. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and have a great day.